Welcome back to My View. By now it's clear, America doesn't get the luxury of falling behind. Not when China is infiltrating our universities with Communist Party loyalists, racing us in artificial intelligence, and gearing up for dominance on every global front. And with wars raging abroad and technology transferring faster than government can keep up, the question isn't whether the world is changing, it's whether we're still strong enough to shape it. Dr. Condoleezza Rice has seen the world from the Situation Room and the front lines of diplomacy. As a former National Security Advisor and Secretary of State, she knows exactly what's at stake and what happens when America steps back instead of stepping up. Dr. Rice joined me in studio this week to discuss student visas, the AI arms race already underway, and what it'll take for the United States to not only lead, but win. All right, well, former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice, thank you so much. It's such an honor to have you here on My View.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Thank you. You have such a history and have so much knowledge of, the role of Secretary of State. And I want to ask you initially about the pause in student visas. Marco Rubio, our current Secretary of State, says that it is not a right, it's a privilege to have a visa. We have certainly seen an escalation in violence. There are a lot of concerns about these visas being handed out. What is your take on that? Do you agree with that pause for the safety of Americans?
Well, I've been both National Security Advisor and I am a professor. And so I've lived in both of these worlds. And when I was National Security Advisor, we had to do additional vetting from time to time. I'm not inside, so I can't answer why the vetting might be necessary, but I hope we get the vetting done. There are an awful lot of students who've already been admitted to college who are hoping that they can come. And we have to remember, most of these kids are coming for the right reasons. They want to see this extraordinary country, which is the United States of America, experience its freedoms, and we benefit from that. But I understand that from time to time it's important. I just hope that it can move along so that we can continue.
Well, you've been very vocal about AI, and I think this is certainly the next frontier. It gives some of us some pause, for sure. I'm one of those people. But it does feel like, to an extent, we are in an AI arms race in a lot of ways. So maybe talk about why it's essential that the United States come out on top in that arms race for the future and really for national security.
Well, it's extremely important. These are transformational technologies that we're talking about now, and not just AI, but synthetic biology and quantum and what we're doing in space. There are some scary things about AI, there's no doubt about it, but the conversation between those who are on the frontiers and those of us who worry about society and national security, that has to be a constant conversation. The reason I want to win the arms race is I want a democracy, and ours is the one to win that race. Just imagine, do the thought experiment, if the Soviet Union or Nazi Germany had won the race to the nuclear bomb, we'd live in a very different world. Imagine how China would deal with something if it goes wrong. Wow. The way that they dealt with COVID. They'll hide it. They'll lie about it. And so my view is that the United States has to win this race.
I want to win this race for sure. Do you see a space where the government maybe should be working with the private sector? You talk about certain regulations may be appropriate here. Do you see that as a private sector kind of coalition with the government?
Oh, I absolutely see it as a private sector, a public-private discussion, because this is really very different than the nuclear age where the technology was within government circles. The technology is now an open portal. I will say one thing that I am concerned about is we have the innovation in the United States. We don't want, for instance, Europe to be the regulatory state that's regulating our innovation. And I say this to the Europeans all the time. Push your own innovation frontiers, don't just regulate ours. And so this is a moment when we absolutely have to have those public-private conversations. And I believe you'll find that the private sector wants to be responsible about the use of this kind of technology. They know its power. Mm-hmm. They know that there are potential downsides. They know that human beings have often been better at the knowledge side than the wisdom side when it comes to technology. I'm very excited about what AI can do, although I recognize that we face some challenges as society in trying to make sure that it's for good.
I want to talk to you, globally. There's so much going on, and obviously all of your experience. I would love to get your take. You see, obviously, a situation in the Middle East. You see this war between Russia and Ukraine. You see China building up its military as well. Where do you think the United States needs to be overall? What advice would you give right now to, the person who has served in many roles that you have and is now in those spaces?
Well, let me first say that you've got awfully good people in those roles. So I am somebody who believes that sometimes your advice isn't so great when you're outside, you can't see. But I will say this, the United States of America is essential in all of these. Great powers don't mind their own business. They try to shape the world. So the shaping of this will be important. You're seeing in what President Trump is doing, you're seeing the fact that he had a call with Vladimir Putin. He's trying to do Iran negotiations. What does that show? It shows that the United States is essential to all of these, and accepting that is extremely important. I used to say that I felt like the Secretary of State was the 911 for the world, that you got that call that said, there's a problem here. I remember once Colin Powell was trying to solve something between Morocco and Spain. I said, why are you doing that? Well, because it's 911 of the world.
Yeah.
We don't want to have to do it alone, and one of the things that I admire about what we're hearing now from the administration is there does need to be a sharing of the burden with the allies. I was one of those secretaries who went to NATO and to Brussels every year and begged for the 2%. Well, we're getting there finally, that countries are going to try to increase their defense spending, and we will be stronger. These are countries that I believe we can share the responsibility, but the organization of it, the United States has to do that.
All right. Well, final question. You, as I've pointed out, you had a long career. There are so many young women who I think look to you and they say, what a role model. Somebody to really look up to. What advice would you give to young women out there who are maybe looking to follow in your footsteps? Although I know they are big shoes to fill, what would you say?
Well, I could say start as a failed piano major, which is actually what happened. I was supposed to be a concert pianist.
Wow.
I studied piano from the age of 3, but fortunately I wandered into a course in international politics. And I loved it. And I knew what I wanted to be. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted to be somebody who did things international and diplomatic. So the first thing I would say is find something you love, find something you're passionate about, and then give it your all to be as good at it as you can possibly be, to be expert at it. I'd also say there aren't that many barriers, even if it's a field in which you don't see people who look like you. You can break through those barriers. Maybe you'll have to be the first. And it's a marvelous thing when your talents and your passion comes together. A lot of life follows from that. I'm a deeply religious person, and I've been enormously grateful that I've been given this opportunity. It's a little bit improbable in some ways, but I'm grateful that I've found passion and the ability to do all of these things, and including to represent the United States of America.
Wow. Well, I didn't know this. Next time we see each other, we'll have to do a little ditty on the piano.
You've got it.
Okay.
All right.
We know what we're doing. Well, Dr. Condoleezza Rice, thank you so much for being with us.
Real pleasure to be with you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.